Hey, Steve Magnante here at High-Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts, with a very special little humble Plymouth, a 1972 Duster 340. Now, we all remember 1968 was the year that Plymouth launched the first budget supercar in the form of the Roadrunner, a car where less was more, but they didn't scrimp on the mechanical components, 383s, 4-speeds, etc., standard equipment. Well, the 340 Duster was a similar profile, if you will. These were $2,800 new, which was about $400 less than a Roadrunner in 1972. And the beauty of the 340 was it didn't incur the surcharges of a 400 or a 440 that you could have in a Roadrunner. These were strictly 340 powered, the Duster 340, as the name implies. And something interesting, 1972 is the final year for the small bolt pattern, the small bolt rally wheel. We see them here. It's a 5-on-4-inch pattern right there, whereas the larger B bodies and E bodies had a 4-on-5.5. or 4.5-inch bolt pattern. See, these small bolt rallies right here. It's very specific. These don't fit a Roadrunner or a Challenger or anything like that, or a Cougar. These are specific to the A-body platform, which is what this is. The A-body was a compact Plymouth, and also the Dodge Demon from 1971 and 2. And of course, this was the Duster right here. And the beauty of the Duster really is it's a sort of a semi-fastback body. These were not Dodge Darts. Those had a 111-inch wheelbase. These have a 108-inch wheelbase, a little more tidy cars. And one thing too about the Duster was, the semi-fastback styling right here, very similar to the Chevy Nova of the same area, and they were definitely playing follow the leader. Chevrolet Novas were major selling. These sold well too, but one thing about these, just like the original Roadrunner, which was a two-door post, these things are also sedans in that the rear windows don't roll up and down, but rather they pop out like this, which is not very nice on a hot day. The window does not roll down. But this is part of how they kept the price on these things below $2,800. With the 340, slant 6 cars were well under, under $2,000 with the slant 6 and a 3-speed manual. But again, less can be more. Now inside this one has the 4-speed manual transmission. And yes, the 4-speed was an option. The 3-speed was the base transmission in the Duster 340. Crazy but true. Now that pistol grip shifter right there is an addition to this car. That pistol grip was only available on Barracudas and other B-bodies, E-bodies and B-bodies. But the A-body never had a factory-installed pistol grip, but it bolts right in, looks good. And this has the bench seat up front, which was standard fare. You could get buckets if you wanted in the center console, but that's part of, again, how they kept the price below $2,800 on the 340 Duster. One great thing about these cars that I love is the brag tag, the billboard, 340. And the 340 was a very special engine, never available in a full-sized or a station wagon, strictly a performance engine. They started at 275 horsepower, but by this time, 1972, they had reduced compression, 240 horsepower, but a peppy little engine. And one thing, too, we see on this one is the 8 3/4 rear axle, which is tough enough to be used behind a Hemi and an automatic. 1973 would see that axle go away and replaced by an 8 1/4. It's kind of a grenade. So the final year for the small bolt rallies, the 8 3/4, and a nice handling car in so many ways. Let's look under the hood and see what that 340 looks like today. Up front, before we open the hood, 1972 is the final year for the sawtooth or shocktooth grille right here. Plastic, but again, unique to the 340 cars. And under that hood, and by the way, before I open the hood, the front bumper in 1973 became larger, got these rubber bumper things. So 72, final year for the unadorned and more practical and streamlined and beautiful all chrome bumpers. 73, the crash stuff would start to kick in and it'd be a bummer. But anyway, under this hood, let's check out that 340. And there it is, correctly rendered in blue, which was the correct color. Now the 340, when it first came out in 1968, was often painted orange, but by the early 70s, corporate blue, seen on this one, correctly restored, was the color. A cast iron intake and exhaust manifolds, a Carter thermoquad carburetor. This one has a Holley that's been added, nothing wrong with that. Good carburetor. And of course, the true blue paint on this, also known as B5, correct and present. Manual brakes, discs, and power boosters were optional. This has the electronic ignition, which arrived in 1971, which gave a hotter spark and slightly cleaner emissions. You got to remember, 1971 too was the age of the emission control invasion. And speaking of the brakes, the manual brakes on this are drums, 10-inch drum brakes. You paid extra for the front wheel, the front discs. So this has drums all the way around. 10 by 2.5 up front, 10 by 1 1/4 in the back. So they do the job of slowing these cars. Good thing they're light. But anyway, nice restoration here. The orange air cleaner, that is correct. Believe it or not, it's kind of weird. You wonder why. something like that would be so out of place. A blue engine with an orange air cleaner. Well, that's what they did. The Dodges, also the Dart Sports and the Demons had the similar package here. And the Dodge engines at this point were still orange, as I recall. But this is correct. The single snorkel air cleaner, it's not silenced. It's basically an emission-style air cleaner. It's silenced. There's no induction roar because this is a silencer, and this thing right here tames that. There were drive-by noise standards that they had to abide by. Power steering on this one here, but again, manual drums front and rear. And again, the 340 package came with heavy-duty front suspension and rear 4-leaf springs. And the way we can confirm this is a 340 car, we go to the trim tag right here, the fender tag, whatever you want to call it, and E55, right there, that's the code for the 340 engine. Next to it, the D21 is the code for the 4-speed manual transmission, and an H, of course, is 340 car, H, and 29 is the body code for the fastback style, or semi-fastback. And again, a great example of the budget supercar that pretty much the Roadrunner started and the Duster 340 kind of finished with. And the Duster would grow until 1974 with a 360 replacing the 340. A little more torque, but again, another example of how Chrysler Plymouth built cars to suit the market demand. And younger drivers and buyers with big block cars paid more for insurance than they paid for their payments every month. But with a 340 like this, you could pretty much evade the insurance surcharge that a big block muscle car would bring to you. And again, Dusters never came with anything bigger than a 340 or a 360. Never a big block in the Duster. Don't know why it didn't happen, but with that said, great, well-balanced mini muscle car, budget supercar, if you will. To learn more about this 1972 Duster 340, go to the High-Octane Classics website and check out the photo gallery.